You're watching Netrush Report, your home for tennis drama, legends, and the rising stars who make this sport unforgettable. If you live for the stories behind the matches, don't forget to subscribe and join the rush. The match began like any other for Carlos Alcaraz, full of his trademark explosive energy, elastic movement, and that fearless swagger that's made him a two-time Grand Slam champion before even turning 22. But somewhere deep into the match, things took a dark turn. A sudden movement left him grimacing. His hand went straight to his side, his thigh, his knee. Depending on reports, fans saw him struggling with multiple areas that seemed to flare up. His opponent sensed something was wrong. The crowd grew tense, and even commentators like John McEnroe and Tim Henman whispered that something didn't look right. Then came the most startling moment. Cameras focused on his player's box. Juan Carlos Ferrero, his mentor and coach, alongside fitness trainers and family. Carlos gestured angrily, his mouth forming words of clear frustration. Some lip readers online claimed he said things like, "This always happens, and you don't listen." Whether it was directed at his coach, his physio, or just the frustration of the moment spilling over, it looked like an argument, and it was the last thing fans expected from tennis's golden boy. This wasn't just a player grimacing in pain. It was Carlos Alcaraz, the player many believe will carry tennis into its next golden era. Think about it. Roger Federer is retired. Rafael Nadal is battling the final chapter of his career. Novak Djokovic, though still a titan, is nearing the twilight of his reign. The tennis world has been desperate for the next icon, and Alcaraz has been the chosen one. Every slam he plays, every ATP event he enters, carries the weight of that expectation. A setback, especially an injury, doesn't just mean a lost match. It could mean lost momentum, missed titles, a derailed season, or even worse, recurring issues that plague a career. And when you mix injury frustration with visible conflict in the team box, alarm bells ring louder. For those who followed Carlos closely, this wasn't the first injury scare. In 2023, he missed parts of the clay season with muscle strains. In 2024, he withdrew from tournaments due to forearm issues. His powerful, aggressive style, relying on explosive sprints, twisting shots, and intense movement, often leaves his body vulnerable. Experts have warned for months. The intensity at which Alcaraz plays, combined with a packed tennis schedule, could set him up for repeated physical breakdowns. Juan Carlos Ferrero himself has acknowledged in interviews that they are learning to manage his body for the long haul. But with each flare-up, the fear grows. Is Alcaraz's body betraying him at too young an age? Now, let's address the elephant in the room, the apparent argument. Some fans argue it was nothing, just a heat-of-the-moment outburst. Players from Andy Murray to Serena Williams have barked at their teams during moments of stress. It's part of the sport. But others saw something more worrying. The way Alcaraz pointed, the visible frustration, the lack of immediate calming response from Ferrero, it suggested genuine tension. Tennis journalist Reem Abulliel tweeted, "You rarely see Alcaraz lose composure with his team. Today's body language was different, frustration directed outward, not just inward." Spanish outlets picked up the story, framing it as cracks showing in Team Alcaraz. Is this exaggeration? Possibly. But in a sport where the bond between player and coach is sacred, even a small visible crack becomes a headline. Social media lit up immediately. Supportive fans, many rushed to defend Carlos, saying he's young, he's allowed to vent, and that his pain was clearly overwhelming. Critical fans, some worried that Alcaraz was showing immaturity, letting down his team by blaming them in public. Panic mode. And then there were those who saw this as a sign of something darker, that his body is too fragile for the demands of modern tennis. One fan wrote, "We can't lose Alcaraz to injuries. Tennis without him leading the next generation would be a disaster." Another said, "He's 22 and already breaking down. This doesn't look good." Sports physicians have weighed in on his recurring injuries. Dr. Mark Kovacs, a well-known sports scientist, has previously noted that explosive young athletes often peak early in movement but struggle with long-term physical resilience unless carefully managed. Meanwhile, tennis experts like Mats Wilander have stressed that Alcaraz must learn the Federer way, playing smart, not just hard. Federer extended his career by adjusting his movement, reducing the toll on his body. Can Alcaraz do the same? Or is his natural style too deeply ingrained? The parallels with Rafael Nadal are impossible to ignore. Nadal too was plagued by injuries early in his career. Critics said he wouldn't last past 25. Yet, through adaptation and sheer resilience, he became one of the greatest of all time. But here's the twist. Alcaraz doesn't just inherit Nadal's legacy of Spanish tennis. He inherits the burden of expectation. Every injury, every outburst, is magnified because he's seen as the next Rafa. And when he rose with his team, people immediately ask, is this the beginning of a breakdown, or just a blip on the radar? If this injury lingers, Alcaraz could miss key tournaments, Masters events, possibly even a slam. Missing tournaments doesn't just mean lost trophies, it means lost ranking points. Players like Jannik Sinner, Daniil Medvedev, and even Alexander Zverev are ready to seize any opening. A dip in form or fitness could see Alcaraz slip down the rankings. And psychologically, that could be devastating. A young player who's only known rapid success might struggle with prolonged setbacks. On the flip side, if he recovers, resets with his team, and uses this as a lesson, it could be the making of his resilient story. Every great champion has their injury saga. Maybe this is just Carlos's chapter 1. What happens now? Expect meetings with medical staff. Expect fitness adjustments. Expect Ferrero to sit down with Carlos and recalibrate both strategy and communication. Because while fans saw conflict, what matters is what happens away from the cameras. Will this incident bring them closer or push them apart? History shows us both outcomes are possible. Here's why this story matters far beyond one player. Tennis is at a crossroads. We are entering the post-Big Three era. The sport desperately needs stars who can carry it forward. Alcaraz is not just a star, he's the face of that future. If he's derailed by injuries or team conflict, it creates a vacuum. Can Sinner fill it? Can Holger Rune? Can American players like Taylor Fritz or Ben Shelton step up? The uncertainty makes every Alcaraz development front-page news. Carlos Alcaraz clutching his body, shouting toward his team, and leaving fans with more questions than answers. It's a scene no one wanted to witness. But maybe, just maybe, this moment of pain and tension is what shapes him into a tougher, smarter champion. Will this be remembered as the start of a downfall, or the beginning of an even greater comeback story? One thing's for sure, the world is watching. And here on Netrush Report, we'll keep you updated every step of the way. If you love tennis, its drama, its heroes, and its heartbreaks, make sure you hit that subscribe button and join the rush.